All right. Call this meeting to order of the Ellettsville Town
This
Council,
meeting is being recorded.
August 24th, 2020. Mike, will you lead us in the pledge?
Yes, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Jimmy Durnall, are you on?
I am, sir.
Would you like to lead us in prayer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Our Heavenly Father, we come before you just one more time and ask you so much to be with us throughout the evening, be with us as we make our decisions, be with us as we do the things that are good for this town. We ask that you lead and guide our thoughts, lead and guide our conversations, have us to work together and work out the problems we have. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Sandy, roll call.
Dan Swafford.
Here.
Dan Swafford.
Here.
Scott Oldham.
Here.
William Ellis.
Here.
Trevor Sager.
Here.
Pamela Samples.
Okay, we do have a quorum. So, Scott, are you back yet?
Yeah, I'm here, just not with video yet.
Okay. I'd entertain a motion for the approval of minutes of the regular meeting, August 10th, 2020. Is there a motion?
I'll second Williams' motion.
Motion and second. Any council comment? Any public comment? If you have a public comment, if you will, use your raise your hand feature and we will call on you. Seeing none, Sandy, roll call.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
William Ellis.
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next on the agenda is accounts payables and payroll. I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any council comment? Any public comment? Sandy, roll call.
Dan Swafford.
Yes.
Scott Oldham.
Yes.
William Ellis.
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, under resolutions, the first one is resolution 07-2020, final economic revitalization area resolution, Key real estate or Key real property. It says real property. Who is this?
I can start this off, I guess. This is the first of the two final tax abatement resolutions for tonight. This one pertains to just the real property, so land in the building. For the Cahey project, the abatement would be for 5 years, starting out 100% in year one, then dropping 20% each year. So 80% year two, 60% year three, 40% and 20% in year five. The total amount abated should come out to around a little under 1.7 million in taxes. Now, mind you, that doesn't actually come out of the town. It's just money it doesn't, we wouldn't necessarily see that to begin with. It affects our assessed value more than anything. So it's not costing us anything. It will just slow down the lowering of the tax rate for the town, more or less, for 5 years until that's entirely on the books.
Okay. Any further discussion on this?
Just asking, all forms are in them, correct?
Finally, yes.
Okay. All right, seeing no further discussion, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion first and second. Any council comment? Any public comment?
And this is a
Go ahead.
motion to approve the resolution, correct?
Yes, 07/2020.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Swafford, I'd like to make a public comment.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, my name is Clark Greiner. I'm with the BEDC. I'm their Business Development Director. The BEDC serves all of Monroe County as well as Bloomington and Ellettsville. And I speak out in support of this particular SB1 resolution in favor of the Scannell passage of this. Part of this was to make it possible for the Key project to be able to move forward and to bring good jobs to the community, to Monroe County. And I do absolutely support this, and would appreciate a favorable vote on this. So.
Thank you, Clark. What company are you with again? I'm sorry.
I'm with the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation. We serve all of Monroe County.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any further comment? Seeing none, Sandy, roll call, please.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
I think we lost Trevor. He's froze. Darla, do we wait on him or what?
Yeah, let's give it a minute or so and see what happens.
Everyone, I apologize for this. We were warned by Trevor actually today that Zoom has been going up and down all day. So we might experience some other further problems. Just bear with us.
He's trying to get back in now, Dan. He just said he
Okay.
does.
It's kind of funny. It was him that warned us and he was the first one to drop.
Trevor, what is your vote on that last motion?
Was that the Key vote?
Yes.
Yes, it was on resolution 07/2020. It's
Yeah.
three.
Yeah. Yep, I'm a yes on that.
Okay, motion carries.
All right. Next resolution 08/2020, final economic revitalization area resolution, Key personal property. Kevin?
All right. Again, like the first one, this one only applies to the personal property within KHE. They did revise the total amount today. I think previously it was around a little over 5 million. It's now up to 8.8 million. So it did this afternoon, which was about when I found out. Overall,
Kevin?
it's 5-year. Yeah.
Can you repeat that? You cut out there for a little bit. Just the
I'm
last.
sorry. They revised the numbers on their personal property to 8.8 million total. So I sent those new numbers out today, this afternoon, as soon as I found out. It did add a little bit to the abatement. Overall, I think the change was about 100,000 extra on the personal property side. The total personal property abatement's going to be about $268,000 total over 5 years.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Any further discussion on this? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I would make the motion we approve resolution 08-2020, the final economic revitalization area resolution for KE personal property.
Second.
First and second, any council comment? Any public comment? Go ahead, Clark.
Yeah, thank you again. Again, my name is Clark Greiner. I'm with the Bloomington Economic Development Corporation. And again, we serve all of Monroe County. I strongly advise and recommend that the passage of this. And the reason why is that, again, they're going to bring some great jobs to the community. Average wage is going to be about $40,000 a year, right at $39,000 actually. The one thing that KeyHe is they are one of the leading distributors in the nation. They have 16 different distribution centers in the nation. They are a leading distributor of fresh, organic, natural, and especially food products. This is really an expansion of their and retention of their business that's coming out of Monroe County into Ellettsville. And I think it's a business that we really want to keep here. And I think it's good for everyone, good for their benefit as well as for Ellettsville. So well, the BEDC supports this and would recommend a favorable vote on this as well. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Clark. Any further public comment? Seeing none, Sandy, roll call?
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes, and my apologies. I have a climbing grandchild.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. I agree with you, Clark, on this. I think this is a great opportunity for Ellettsville, and I'm really excited. And I really want to thank Kevin and Mike and everyone that had a lot of involvement in getting them into our town. And I hope it's just a start of something great happening here. All right, moving on, resolution 19-2020, transfer of funds, police department. Sandy?
Okay, this is, Jimmy needed some additional money in building maintenance. So he's transferring $4,000 from radar arms and equipment into building maintenance. And the telephone and fax line, we moved his air cards this year from his, from CCD back into the general fund. And so that created a shortage for him in the telephone and fax line. So we are also transferring $3,488 from the radar arms and equipment into the telephone and fax line.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any council comment or question? Any public comment? Seeing none, Sandy, roll call?
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, there's no ordinances on first reading, ordinance on second reading, ordinance 2020-23 to amend chapter 96 of the Ellettsville Town Code regarding animals permitted to be kept within the town limits. Darla, is this you?
I will go ahead and take it. This is the second reading, and there were some comments made at the last town council meeting where this was discussed, which I think was 2 meetings ago now. But I think I've incorporated all the comments or changes that the town council wanted. And I think the most recent one was from Scott Oldham. And I think everybody agreed to this. I've added a section 6 under 9602 that states that actually it's under 9602B6. A top is not required for the chicken coop if the birds have been rendered flightless. Otherwise, this allows 9 ducks in the town of Ellettsville.
Or fowl, right? Or the chickens.
Or chickens, right. Any combination thereof, 9 total, chickens or ducks.
Am I correct? No males of either?
No, male ducks are allowed, male chickens. So, okay, so somebody who's raised on a farm is going to laugh at me. So no roosters are allowed, but yes, male ducks, which are
Right.
great, are allowed.
Somebody watched Animal Planet.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I would make the motion to approve ordinance 2020-23 to amend chapter 96 Ellettsville Town Code regarding animals permitted to be kept within the town limits.
I'll second.
Any council comment?
Yes, I've heard from a couple of constituents on this, and they're not in favor of it. They're in District 2, so I can't in good conscience support this.
William, can you elaborate a little further on why
They're concerned that with the amount of foul enforcement and the noise would be a little harder to deal with because they've had problems with this in the past. And yes, once it's enforced, it stops. But unfortunately, you know, it can be a week or two before it's enforced, and it's something they have to deal with. And there's some problem flyers, as they put it, and they're worried there's going to be more problem flyers on this.
Thank you, William. Clark, on public comment, you have your hand up.
Thank you. Again, my name is Clark Greiner. I'm with the BEDC. Again, we serve all of Monroe County. This is just a little bit of past experience. I used to do code enforcement in the city of Columbus, and we encountered some of the animal thing, and I'll just share just briefly with you things that you just have to be aware of. Is that with ducks, a lot of times people may put up swimming pools, let the ducks swim in the water. They make the water pretty messy, and then when they empty the pools, it can create a problem. So you need to be just aware of how you want to deal with that, how to address that. So just something to think about as you're considering this.
Thank you, Clark. Any other public comment?
Dan, I've got one when we get back to it.
Okay. Scott, I don't see anyone else with their hands up. If you'd go ahead.
Well, I had, and forgive me because I don't remember her name, a lady contact me about this, and she was on the pro side. And because again, forgive me because I guess I don't understand some of this. Apparently, there are some allergies for some folks who cannot eat chicken eggs but can eat duck eggs. Don't know that that's the case, but that's what was representative. So this lady was in support of it for that exact reason, because I guess I can see if you can't eat one, but need to extend your foodstuffs at home or have that desire to have very fresh eggs, that I can see this be beneficial. But I agree with Clark. I see it being potentially problematic, but anything we adjust is potentially problematic until we actually deal with it. As long as we deal with the issues and deal with the problems, I don't see this being a long-term issue for anybody.
Thank you, Scott. And correct me if I'm wrong. I know we changed a lot, but we already had it in our town code that we would allow up to 5 chickens. So pretty much we changed the number from 5 to 4 or 5 to 9 and added 4 more. And we opened it up to ducks.
Right, because we had several people with their grandfather on the ducks to begin with.
Exactly. And besides that, I think that's the major things that we've changed on. I'd like to ask Kevin, and I think this was asked last time, how many complaints we've received on the chickens in the past, say, year or two?
I mean, we've only received a couple of complaints, and it seems to be the same few people that are causing the problems every time.
And what are the complaints? Is it the noise too, or the smell, or what? What is the complaints?
Oh, we've had chickens running wild and getting into people's gardens. I think there's been 1 or 2 complaints about a rooster. I don't know if we've had any on smell or not. I know Denise has talked to more of the people than I have, so I don't know exactly what the complaints are, but I'm sure they run the whole gamut.
They were already against the ordinance to begin with.
Hey, Kevin or Denise, have we had any complaints against the noise?
I think with the roosters, yeah, we did.
Just the roosters, though.
So again,
As
Kevin,
far as
all the complaints you've had have already been against the ordinance as it stood, not anything that we would be actioning tonight, correct?
well, we did have complaints on ducks too, so there's maybe I think it's just one that would be allowed.
Okay.
Hi, this is Denise. I've also had complaints on more than 5 chickens, and a lot of it, the complaints are they're free range and tearing up the neighbors' gardens, as Kevin said. And then one of the complaints is a question about amount of the space the people have their chickens in.
Okay. And how recent are these complaints, Denise?
Well, one complaint led to the appeal that came before town council. It led to the change. And then I have one active complaint that I'm just put on hold waiting for the outcome of this. It was on the number of chickens.
Okay.
And the other one, they've been keeping their chickens pinned up. It was a free range issue.
You or Kevin mentioned there was a complaint on a duck. What was the duck complaint? I'm just curious.
The duck complaint was just simply that the town code prohibited it.
Oh, okay. All right. Any further questions on this or comments?
I think Valerie has a comment.
Valerie?
Thank you. I'm not smart about ducks, but I have a question. Do all ducks, this is not delicate, during their seasonal time, are all ducks equally vicious in their mating habits? Because there are certain ones that just really do make quite a spectacle. And I don't know that if I had young children in the neighbor yard next door, I particularly want that.
Correct. And I could not answer that question. I'm not sure if Kevin Denise can either.
No.
But the free range.
Because they can even kill the female in the process of this. So.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
Especially more than one, it'll be a gang issue.
And I think that question is under free range too, really. I mean, if they're running loose, which I think our ordinance covers that, they still have to be kept, right? Am I correct, Darla?
They still have to be kept, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
We're not allowing any free range of chickens or ducks, right?
No, they kept in a coop, run, or outside yard that is enclosed on all sides.
Okay. So
if you're asking if people can just like have them in the backyard and have them run out in the street and everything, the answer is no.
No, not in the street. I've got chickens next door to me and I have ducks next door to me. And it's visible their animals are visible even while they're in the coops. So I just meant that if I had small children, I'm not sure that's how I'd want them to learn of the birds and the bees.
Oh, okay. I understand now. Thank you.
And that's why the presence of a male would do that. But I know you have to have that I got that part. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other further comment?
Dan, it's Sandy.
Go ahead, Sandy.
You know, I remember when you were discussing these ordinance that it came up about male ducks. And I feel like the council stated that they didn't know a lot about male ducks. So maybe the solution to the problem is to just say no male ducks.
That would tend to track along what we've done with the chickens.
Exactly.
And I agree. I mean, I really don't see any benefit with a male duck as far as eggs. So unless you're just wanting a pet. So I agree with you too, Scott and Sandy. I think we should take the male ducks out of the ordinance.
I'm here. Can anyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Who is
I'm
this?
here.
Pam.
Oh, Pam. All right.
Yeah,
Pam, would you like to add anything to this?
I didn't hear that first part. I'm sorry.
We're talking about the ordinance about the ducks and chickens.
Uh-huh.
A question came up about whether or not we should allow male ducks in the community because of problems or issues. And I know you're pretty well knowledged on this kind of thing. Is there any reason someone would want a male duck?
I'm not really familiar with ducks. I don't see a problem with them. Now, they're not to me like a rooster where a rooster crows, you know. I don't have a problem with them. I mean, what do you think would be an issue with a male duck?
Well, Valerie stated, I don't even know how to word it, to be honest with you, but she had concerns about their mating rituals. And small children and being very aggressive, I guess, during that.
Basically, the ducks mating are the animal kingdom's version of 50 Shades of Grey.
Okay, I'm not familiar, with that.
Right. And then my question was, why would someone want a male duck? I mean, if they're wanting ducks and chickens for the eggs, obviously a male duck can't lay an egg. So that's kind of my question too.
So Dan,
Yes.
before we all go off a cliff that we really don't want to go off, how about I amend my motion to exclude male duck?
I'm good with that. I'll second that on that.
Okay. Clark, do you have a question or comment?
I was just going to say for male ducks, you can sell fertilized eggs. If somebody had specialty ducks or rare breeds or something like that, there are heritage breeds. People may want to do that, sell the eggs to other people. That's one of the reasons why. As far as their mating habits and rituals, they don't have legs. They have a hard time balancing. They grab the back of the neck and the head of the other duck and mount them that way. So it is awkward looking. How else do you talk about that? But that's really what it is. And so it just depends on Mother Nature's habits.
Gotcha. Thank you, Clark.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot here tonight about ducks.
This is my farm background.
Yeah. Okay, Scott, I'm going to clarify. There wasn't a motion made yet, so were you making the motion?
Yeah, I'd make a motion. We approve this resolution. Actually, I did make the motion already.
Yeah.
And now I'd like to amend it to exclude male ducks and end this conversation.
And Trevor, you seconded it, correct? Trevor?
That's right. Yep,
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you. All right. I will give one last for comment. Seeing none, Sandy, roll call. And this is to exclude male ducks.
Well, it's to approve the ordinance and exclude male ducks.
Right. To amend the ordinance. Gotcha. Sandy, roll call.
Vance
Yes.
Crawford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis.
No.
What was that? No. Okay.
No.
Trevor Sager. Pam Samples.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. And Kevin, if you could keep us advised if these complaints start coming in quite frequently. Keep us posted on this.
If we get a bunch, I'll let you know.
Thank you. Okay, moving on, old business, there is none. Flood report, is there anything new to add to the flood report? I don't think so, so we'll go down to new business. Shut off policies, utilities.
Oh, good, it's good, Tom. Hi, this is Michael Farmer. I'll speak to that.
Go ahead.
As of, I believe, August 14th, the moratorium on shutoffs had been lifted. And so I'd like to know what the board's policy moving forward would and should be. I'd like input from the board on this matter. We probably currently, I just printed off, I had actually had Becky print off totals. We have 734 customers out of our approximately 5,500 customers that are past due on their bill. A lot of those are current month past dues, and so that'll go down quite a bit. But we have people all the way back into January, a few customers that have not paid a bill since then. And probably in the last, or the first, from January to May, there's probably 50 customers that would be multi-month delinquents. Out of the 734 customers, we run it again today. And so now it's down to about 694 customers. And we're approximately right now at $83,000 in past due money. So, you know, we have a bit of a problem. The August bill is just now coming due where they'll be delinquent, and from history that this number of customers that are past due, that are current, if you will, for the August bill, that'll go down quite a bit. So just from past experience, you know, I'd estimate that it'll have how many customers are past due and have how much money is owed to us. So the $83,000 is quite a bit of money, but I do expect a lot of our customers to go ahead and pay their bills. We're getting some calls in from customers what to do, knowing that the moratorium has been lifted, but I do want some input from the board.
When was this lifted, Mike? What was the date?
Darla, I think I'm correct, August 14th.
Yes, August 14th.
Wasn't the guidance to give them 6 months to repay?
There was some guidance to that, and of course we could make it longer. We have bills, past due accounts that go from $50 to $500. We have maybe, I don't know, 2 dozen that are multi-hundreds of dollars. I mean, we got $300 bills. We've got 2 that I know are close to 500. And so under the circumstances and not knowing the circumstances, if you will, these $500 past due bills, we might want to go a little longer than 6 months. I'm okay with that. And the reason being, they will have to pay their current bill. Minimum bill is $60. And if it's based on the average usage, which is about 4,500 gallons a month, their bill would be at like $80. So it might be a burden for some of these people, for whatever reasons they're behind, to pay their current bill and pay this off in 6 months. But once again, I'd like to hear from the board.
Well,
Sorry.
Go ahead, Scott. Go ahead.
Mike, are we in any kind of, for want of a better word, financial burden where we could not extend some very favorable terms to these folks?
No, we could extend without any jeopardy to our finance.
So if we were to give them, say, a year to amortize or to reach some other agreement with you as to how to take care of that bill, do you think that would be substantial enough? Because like you just said, if some of these people are already in the hole up to $500 and they're on a fixed income, just dumping that within 6 months, that's going to really hurt.
Right, and when I was thinking about this, it's gonna be a little cumbersome for our staff to manage all this because a lot of it has to be done by hand. And so I would, I might suggest that we have a amount where they could go 12 months and anything under that amount, then we would go to 6 months. So I would hate to have to take a $50 past due bill and split it up into 12 payments. So maybe somewhere like $250, since I give you a $50 to $500 range on bills, maybe at $250, they would have the option to go 12 months and anything under that 6 months. I mean, I'm just thinking out loud.
William, you have a comment? Question?
Sorry, Mike, did you say some people were delinquent since January?
We have 4 customers delinquent from January, 4 in February, 13 in March, 16 in April, 21 in May, 90 in June, and 455 in July, which is August.
I honestly think those ones for the first 3 months should be treated a little differently. COVID didn't start shutting stuff down until March. So I don't think they can make the case that's COVID related. So those, I think that for that past due balance for those 3 months, I'm not in favor of extending that part out long at all. And for those on fixed incomes, I'm going to sound harsh here, but their income should not have been disrupted because it was fixed. It's still fixed.
Right, and it would be hard for us to. I mean, we could, by date, we could probably segregate out the January and February. I mean, it's only 8 customers anyway, and we could deal with them, directly and try to work it out and not allow that. But I just don't want to have so many rules or parameters to work in that it makes it hard on our staff.
All I was thinking, since it's such a small amount for those back, is that, I mean, if we give a year for everyone, the thing is that what is our normal late fee?
It's it's 10% of the bill.
Okay, I honestly, I don't think we should waive late fees for those.
Well, we have not assessed late fees since it started.
I'm sorry?
We have not assessed late fees since this has started.
Right, but I'm thinking for those, if we can just put one fixed fee on those for the first 3 months of billing delinquent. I mean, not continually assess it, but for those 3 months, charge one charge and move on.
Well, yeah, and I'll have to look into that. I mean, what are you saying, that if they owe $400, we'd assess a one-time 10% fee on that?
No, it's like if the bill for January, February, and March combined was $100, they get the 10% fee on that. They got $10 extra. I mean, so we're not continually assessing fees or anything. It's a one-time fee, but I don't think they should be treated any different than the ones that paid their bills before COVID hit.
Yeah, I'll look into that. I'm not sure that before COVID, before the shutdown, if you will, I'm not sure that they didn't have those fees assessed, because when the moratorium started, I think that's when we quit assessing fees.
Okay, if they already had them, that's fine.
Okay.
And Mike, for clarification, the time that you're giving them to make these late payments, you're going to freeze any other additional monthly late fees? Is that what you're planning?
To the past due, anything current, we would start assessing late fees again.
Okay, and you don't want to have them make payments out, like divide whatever they owe by 6 or whatever. You're not wanting that either. You're just giving them the time. Or
it would be the same amount every month, just to keep from driving our staff crazy.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they owed $240 and they took a year, it'd be $20 a month.
Gotcha.
And that would be in addition to their current bill.
That is correct.
I don't have a problem with the 6 months or even longer for the higher ones. I know a lot of things have been hit hard. A lot of jobs have been lost. I'm pretty sympathetic to them. I know if they're just taking advantage of this, then that's another thing, but you really can't tell that or distinguish that. So, you know, I'm good either way. The 6 or 12 months, I'm fine with.
Yeah, we've been worried about the people that were hard hit as opposed to considering somebody might be taking advantage of.
Exactly. Any further comments from the council?
Question. So are we assuming, maybe I'm wrong, how many did you have last month, you said?
For July, which is coming due 455, so that'll go down drastically. And then the August bill, we have 119. We do it in arrears, so
sure.
For some reason, July is really high, but they'll.
So how many will continue, do you think, or do you have any way of knowing?
I have no way of knowing.
I mean, I guess the better way to ask it, are these people once delinquent continuing to be delinquent, or we just missed a payment, or can you kind of give us some sense of what the average is?
Well, in regular America before COVID, we would have the night before shut off. Sometimes we'll have 850 people that are on the shut off list, and by the morning, we're down to 110. I mean, that's just how it goes. And so I really think now that the moratorium's off, and by working with our customers, notifying people, and we will be sending out our bill, and we'll be sending out the late notice in 2 days. So it's perfect timing for us to send out the disconnect notices. And we may even we have a place to put a message to our customers saying, you know, call in if you want to make arrangements for late fees. And so we'll have a message available to them that'll promote getting all this kind of tidied up. But I mean, sometimes when we do disconnects, we'll have 20 people left off at the end of the day when we do disconnects. And we have as many as 100 before shut off. And sometimes some months we just have 50, and by the end of the day, there's 5 people might still be off. Usually they're out of town. So it's not horrible all the time, but it can be busy. I think if you guys are ready to move back to regular business and do disconnects, then we can handle the details. There were certain things that I want to know about 6 months versus 12 months. And especially I wanted to know tonight whether we even are going to proceed and start doing disconnects, because I want to get it on this bill. This will give them plenty of time. I'll give them 16 days or something like that.
I'm inclined for the 12 months, but I kind of think Scott's concern is valid. If the July people are just a month late, is there a way we can do the 12 months for the people that have been late for a while, and then let's see how July shakes out, and if they still are delinquent, then we add them to the list?
Well, we could, but they just lifted the moratorium on August 14th, and to be quite honest, I assumed they would probably extend the moratorium, so I was a little surprised that they lifted it. So, I mean, I don't know. 6 one, half a dozen another for me.
When is the billing period, Mike? When are you sending out these bills?
Well, we bill on the first of the month. I mean, we bill at the first of the month, but the disconnect notice, the delinquent notice, if you will, goes out this time of the month. So a lot of times people on shut-off day, not only are they delinquent from a month behind, but they also, their current bill is due. So a lot of times when you're in the office and they call in, they want to get turned back on, and they'll say, well, you always ask them, do you want to pay current, up to current, and they'll pay both bills. And a lot of times people have to only pay the past due, and then their current bill's still due at that time. So, I mean, it gets, it's a little messy, but it's just the way it is.
Right.
We can handle it. I mean, we know what to do. We just want to know what you want us to do.
So Mike, assuming you're delinquent and we assume that we go back to the quote unquote normal business, say you're delinquent as of today, when would your water get cut off?
I think we kind of, it rolls because the calendar rolls. So we used to do, sometimes you'd get shut off like the first week of the month. So it could be like a first or the third or something like that. So we got to where we always shut off this first full week of the month. And then so we give them a little extra time, which doesn't hurt anything. And so yeah, I mean, it's supposed to be 17 days after they get their notice, but sometimes it'd be 20 days and sometimes 18, but we always did it so we could have it on a Tuesday or a Wednesday. And then that way give the staff time to be prepared. We never do it on a Thursday, Friday, because then we go into the weekend with a lot of people off, and then we're out all weekend turning people on and assessing more fees. So that answer your question?
Yeah, so would it do you harm operationally if we set the date of September 15th, which is a Tuesday, that we would not turn anybody off until at least then? And that would be assuming they hadn't made arrangements by then? Because that would give people a chance that are on fixed incomes to get their next disbursement on the 15th to pay whatever remains to get current.
Yeah,
and also gives them better part of a month to make whatever arrangements they need to make.
We can make that work, and we can put it on the message, the box, and on your bill there's a box where we can put any kind of message.
Just that way we're not, I mean, we're the 24th today. I would hate to see us get into, disconnecting people again within 2 weeks without giving them more than fair warning that here it comes.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
And I totally agree too, Scott. That's great. And that's kind of what I was getting at. So I'm for that too.
Can we make it the 16th, Mike? That gives them 1 day to get the money into their account and then make payment.
Yeah.
Arrangements.
Yes.
Yep. Works for me too.
Pam?
I'm fine with it.
William?
Yep.
Okay.
And the cutoff amount, you want it to be $200 or $240 for 12 months versus 6 months. And the reason I'm asking, I'll repeat, is I don't want a $50 or even $100 bill to be sectioned out into 12 months. It's a burden on the staff and hard to keep track of. It's going to be messy.
If we do it that way, again, we're giving them 12 months. That takes everybody through next tax season. So if you really had to wait to even get your tax return to pay, to make right to the town, that at least gives them that amount of time.
So you wouldn't necessarily need them to pay monthly to start paying it off. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't care what they did as long as within the year we were straight, but the other council members may want to do it monthly.
I think, and I know it's a lot of work, Mike, but I think, working with the individual, seeing the circumstance, I would be good with, divide it by 12, whatever, or I'll pay you by this time, like Scott said, if they have a big amount of money coming in. So I'm good either way, but I think maybe you should talk to each person on how they want to set it up, or put on the letter to call for payment arrangements or whatever.
Okay.
My concern with that, and my wife deals with things like that with the county making arrangements. When you do a big lump sum like that, you'll have a lot of people say, "Oh, I'll have it in 5 months. I'll have it in 6 months. I'll have it by the year." Then the year rolls around, and then it's a really big hit, and they don't have it. And then you're putting in the situation that, okay, well, now you're hosed. And yeah, we can still cut them off, but the bar's a lot higher. So I really think that we should divide whatever it is by 12 and then maybe make it a slight exception for those that you deem correct at the story. But most people will tell you, no, I'm sure I'll have it by then. I'll be back to work. Unless they say their uncle just died and they're waiting for a settlement or something, I'm really concerned about us just letting them kick the can down the road. Because if they don't have it now, there's no guarantee they're going to have it then, and it's going to be a bigger burden, and they'll probably come back and want to renegotiate.
And I understand what you're saying, William. I really do. I think too, though, and you even said maybe a special circumstance. I think maybe set it up that way if you want to, and then, call for any other, or if there's another case or a hard luck story, whatever. I'm good either way. I mean, if we're talking 500, you divide it by 12. It's less than $50 a month. I mean, but a lot of people, on fixed incomes, that's hard for them. But
Well, could I
see your point.
Dan, could I say something?
Sure, go ahead.
I do not want to put our staff in a situation where they have to decide what's a good story and what's not a good story. And I'm not saying the stories aren't true, but I'm just saying that's not what we're here for.
Yeah.
So we ought to have some parameters, and they ought to be clean and neat, and keep this even-handed.
So, Mike, what if we did this? That they have to pay at least $10 on their due bill per month and have a year to bring the entire thing current.
Good.
Well, at least $10. Well, what if they owe $400?
Well, then they only have $280 to come up with at the end of that year.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Well, that's fine. I mean,
that way we're at least getting something, and they've got, kind of as William was alluding to, they've got a little responsibility monthly and we're eating away at it. But I can see some people on real fixed incomes needing to wait until they've got, and again, I don't want someone making a choice between can I afford medicine versus can I afford water. I mean, water and power are the two that you've got to absolutely have.
Well, I appreciate the thought, and that's why you guys are, I'm asking you what to do.
Right, and I don't want to put your staff in the middle of, is this a good story? Is this person worthy? Or the complaints of, well, you let somebody else do it. I mean, so that essentially gets your people at $120. If they owe that, they're paying it off in 12 easy installments or 12 equal installments. If they have more than that, we're giving a little more forbearance.
Yep, I'm fine with that too, Scott.
Me too.
I'm good.
Me too.
All right, Mike, we don't need to make a motion on this, do we, Darla?
I don't think so. It probably wouldn't hurt to just for the next meeting, maybe draw just up a 1-page short policy, just so everybody knows for sure what we're doing. But
if I can get it on the bill, it'll be on the bill.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
All right. Is that enough direction, Mike?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. No problem. Anyone in the public, I'm just going to let you open for comment, seeing how a lot of you guys are the customers. Anyone in the public would like to comment or ask a question? Okay, I don't see any. We'll go on to the next agenda item.
Dan, Russell raised his hand. Russell?
Yes, thank you, Sandy. What would be the advantage or disadvantage of setting the minimum payment of 10% or $20 of the amount, or $20 or 10% of the amount due ever is greater.
There's some people who can't come up with the $20 extra a month.
Scott, I agree, but there's some people who can't come up even with anything.
I agree. We're just trying to be as forbearing as we can.
Exactly.
Well, do we want this to drag out forever? Or if we're in a situation where we've got somebody in desperate straits, payoff is not an issue, is not an option. I'm trying to see, because we're going to have some who may never be able to pay it. And that's really going to be awkward on the staff at the utility department.
Well, there may be some very well, Russ, that just have no intention of paying it. You know, so again, we're having to draw a line somewhere, and I get it. It's that not necessarily imaginary line, but it's just a line somewhere. And, you know, frankly, I think most people could probably come up with the $10 if they had to. That $20 is a stretch for some of the folks that really watch their pennies.
Okay, I'll buy that.
All right, let's move on to the next item, dismissal. Who is this?
Mike Farmer.
Mike, go ahead.
Yes, I had sent everyone information about some violations by one of our employees in the utilities department. And those violations are serious enough that I would recommend dismissal. They have to do with attendance violations, attendance history, failure to follow town policy, failure to comply with rules related to the COVID shutdown. I think I spelled it out pretty good in my email, and I just need to know what the town board's pleasure is. They have to vote on it.
Okay, would the town or would the council members like to act on this? Or would you like to take this into an executive decision or executive session? Sorry.
I would tell the board currently the employee is on paid leave.
What's the pleasure of the board?
You're talking about having an executive session to discuss it because we have to vote in public.
Exactly. Because it's very hard to discuss some of this personnel issues in public. So if you're ready to vote, that's fine. If not, we can do an executive session.
I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead,
Can you
Pam.
hear me, Dan?
Yes.
I have a question for Mike. Mike, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, has she had write-ups? I mean, like 1, 2, 3, or whatever that you guys do?
Yes, she's been written up in the past for some of the same problems.
Okay, thank you.
But it's been more than a year ago.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the board?
I could go either way.
Me too.
With Pam having questions about the person, I feel maybe we should do an executive session.
Let me ask you this real quick. Is the employee here in chat or, online who wants to address us? I'll give that option.
We sent you, she asked to get a letter to you.
I saw that. I just didn't know if it's there in person.
Yeah, I don't think she's here. I don't see
Okay.
Dan, I'm fine. I mean, if you guys are wanting an executive session to discuss this more, I'm fine with that.
Would we kind of tell everybody we'll be back in like 5-10 minutes and then come back? Because otherwise,
I think we'll have to give notice, right, Darla?
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, we can't do that. Sorry.
No worries. I'm ready to vote now.
But the next town council meeting is 3 weeks out, just for,
Okay.
Right. William, you said you're ready.
Yes.
Scott,
I could go either way. I'm prepared to vote, or I can go along with executive session if someone would feel more comfortable.
Trevor,
Yeah, I'm the same way. Sorry, I've got sun in my eye. I'm the same way. As Scott, I mean, I could go either way.
Pam,
I can go either way, but Mike answered the question I wanted to know, so either way.
okay, and I'm the,
Not
Go
to sway anybody and not really discuss the particulars, but I'll tell you why I'm ready to vote now. The letter did not address anything prior that would have been dealt with. So if it had, then I think I would want to be in executive session. But otherwise, we've got one issue.
and I can go either way too, so this is no help whatsoever. Darla, what is your legal advice?
you can do whatever you want. The town code personnel policy states that the option to fire lies with the town council. So if you want to do an executive session, you can. If you want to make your decision now, you can.
Hey, Mike, who's her direct supervisor?
Her direct supervisor is Becky Wines, who serves as a business or as the office manager. And then she works for Jeff and I, and we supervise her.
Okay. Is Becky in here tonight?
She is not. But I've talked to her about this thoroughly.
And I think the reason that I brought up that I could go either way is I've made my decision, but I didn't want to stand in the way of one of the other council people who had questions that they would feel better to discuss. I don't want to speak for the rest of the council, but I am perfectly fine voting tonight if no one has other questions and or other things they want to discuss.
Okay, hearing that, someone can make a motion or let this die. And if they let it die, we'll go to an executive session.
I'll make a motion to hold the vote tonight.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Any further council comment?
Question for Darla.
Sure.
We do not have to actually name the person, do we?
I don't think so. I think we can come up with some alternate way to do it, right?
Employee A.
Sure. Jane Doe.
There you
go. Okay. Any public comment on this? And I think we're correct. There's no public comment under a personnel issue. Is there, Darla?
No, there shouldn't be.
Okay. All right. Sandy, roll call, please. Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Regretfully, yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Motion carries to vote on this issue tonight.
I think that was the vote, right?
That was the motion,
Yeah.
as I understood it, yes.
Yeah, that's
Now,
what
I do want to share one of the reasons why I made the motion and want to vote on it tonight. I do not think this employee needs to be kept in limbo. It is very stressful not knowing what's going to happen. So no matter which way it goes, I think this employee should, waiting another 3 weeks of uncertainty, I just don't want to do that to anyone. I've been there. Not gonna cause that stress to somebody else.
Understood. So then we need a motion to dismiss the employee, right? Is there a motion?
Regretfully, I will make a motion to dismiss this employee.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seeing a second, Sandy, roll call?
Dan Swafford,
No.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, next on the agenda, forest management, town hall property. Mike, is this you?
It is. Before we move forward, I'd like to ask the board to allow me to come up with a new personnel policy for dismissal of employees that are not police or fire. That wouldn't be so cumbersome and so public, and so I want to change it so we can do this in a different manner going forward. So,
Can we legally do that, or is it the town code that's making us do it?
well, we'll change the town code. I want to propose something, bring it to you, and then I'll draft it so you guys can put in whatever you think's appropriate. But I would like to change how we operate when it comes to this kind of matter.
And I agree, Mike. You know, my problem is I think when we do dismiss a full-time employee, we should have an executive session regardless before it gets on an open meeting or voted on a public meeting, sorry. So I agree with you. I think this definitely something needs to be done. So if you could work with Darla and come up with something.
Yes. Okay. Forest management. The reason I put it in under that title, as you know, we're trying to get to the point where we can build a new utility facility on town hall property. We own 10 acres. Is it 10 acres? Yeah, 10 acres. And that we have a site picked out, and we would like to prep the site as we go into fall before the wet season. We will have to timber and clear the site. We're thinking about 500 feet by 500 feet, which is probably 5 acres or something like that, a little more than 5 acres. And so we've had a forester up here, and they've identified trees within that 500-foot square that can be timbered and sold, and then also, you know, giving us some advice on clearing of the rest of the trees. We have asked for them to identify other trees that may need to be timbered in the 50 acres that we own, and identify those and come up with a plan. So in case we want to manage the forest, if you will, and maybe enjoy some other timber income that will help offset the clearing that's going to take place. It'll be quite the project, and I thought now would be a good time to do this while we have a road in and road out that's not completely been asphalted. And I think we do it once and take some good advice from the forestry agents on what should and should happen. And just so you know, I'm pretty much a tree hugger, and I don't want to disturb the animals. So I want this to go good for the forest and the future for the forest. But we will have to clear, so we should do everything all at once. And I'm going to bring you a plan, and then we'll have a request for proposals to clear the site and any other trees we deem appropriate. So I just want, it's kind of a big deal, and you know, it's a project, and it's a project that we need to do sooner than later if we're ever going to build on that property. it'll get real messy if we wait till November, December, January. When it starts getting wet, we'll probably get shut down.
Mike, do you know if what the timber prices are right now? Are they very decent, or do you have?
I don't know. They're really high. I mean, you can't even get some kinds of wood. So, but they go low too. They're kind of like gas prices. They go up and down. And you just never know where you're going to be. If you want to guesstimate of how much timber can be sold off that property, off the total 50 acres, probably 40 or 50,000. But if I have my say, I'd say there's going to be a lot of trees we're not going to timber. That could be. So.
Right.
So,
okay.
I mean, when you get down to the 500 foot square that we need cleared, you know, we could be as little as $10,000 in timber sold. So we may end up paying to have somebody take it. And any trees that they can get money out of would just go against what it costs to get it cleared. But that's just business.
Okay. Council have any other questions for Mike? So you're going to bring a plan to us, Mike?
Yeah, and I just wanted to let you know about it so I could get comments and concerns early and often. And so when we come to you, one, you won't be surprised, and two, you'll have some input.
Sounds great. Look forward to seeing stuff.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, fire department. Mike Kornman. Mike there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. What I want to bring to you tonight is a promotion for two people to be promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Whenever I became the chief, and with the previous chief, we created a void of having ranking officers on duty each day because the prior chief and myself worked 24-hour shifts. And then prior to that, we had some retirements in the fire department, and we thought we could do without these ranks. Well, clearly, we decided that that's not working out for us, and we do need some leadership on a regular basis. Of course, you know, things can run afoul if we don't, and from time to time. So what we're trying to do is a long-range plan to get 3 ranking officers on duty of each of our stations every day. Right now, we are still short. We're short actually 4. So we're doing this in steps because I budget for it. So I did budget for these 2 positions. We previously had those positions or something relative before. And so we just want to, before it gets, too far out of hand, we feel we ducked this long enough. So we need to move forward with the promotions of 2 lieutenants. And those are Sergeant Raymond Worthen and Sergeant Mark White. Both have been with the fire department a little over 5 years, combined even longer as a volunteer firefighter before then. So that's the name. We did interviews and we did testing. So 3 candidates, and these are 2 I want to bring forward to you tonight.
Thank you, Mike. Any council comment on this or discussion? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the fire department's request for 2 new lieutenants.
I'll second it. Any council comment? Sandy, roll call, please.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, I've got an old agenda. Is the next item the budget?
Yes.
Okay. Budget. Sandy, do you want to start this?
Yes. I sent you all some emails that had all of the BF1s, the budget form 1s for each department that gave you line by line descriptions of the requests for budget increases. And most of those are in the salary, so we've prepared this 2021 Town of Ellettsville budget proposal, and I'd like to go over that with you. The first slide is the 16-line statement, and line 1 shows the total budget. Now, we're working with the general fund because that is our biggest budget, and that's where all the public safety is paid from and all the town administration. So this is our big one, so that's the one I want to kind of capitalize on tonight. So the total budget for the incoming year is $3,267,738. This 16-line statement goes over 18 months of financing. So we have to cover our expenses and revenue for not just 2021, but the last 6 months of 2020. So the appropriations we have remaining for this year is $1,728,689. We have to do an additional appropriation. We've already done one for $75,000 for the school resource officer that the school provided us funds for. And we are going to have to do an additional $80,000 one in the next few months because when I looked at last year's budget or this year's budget, I thought that the 27 pay year would be 2021, but the very last day of this year is the last day of the pay period. So in order to get the checks to the employees timely, I have to process that 27th pay yet this year. So that's all covered with that $155,000. So the total expenses we have for the next 18 months is $5,151,000. Our cash balance is line 6. That was our June 30th cash at $1.5 million. We should get a little over $500,000 in property tax by the end of the year. The remaining miscellaneous revenue for this year is almost $1,985,000. The miscellaneous revenue for next year is $1,835,000. So our revenue is $4,929,578. So then you take your line 5 and compare it to your line 9. How much money do we have to pay those expenses? And we're short $221,850. So that is how much taxes we have to raise in 2021 to pay our existing expenses for the next 18 months. So our levy with our 4.2% increase is going to be $1,210,633. So if this all works out, then our leftover cash balance would be $988,782. I know this is a little confusing and I went through it pretty quickly. Is there any questions on this? This is the state prescribed form that covers all facets of the budget.
And that 0.59 on the tax rate, is that, we're talking about that as for the published budget that's upcoming, correct? How does that compare with where we are?
The rate for 2020 was 0.4813. So that goes up a little bit, but we have to do that in order to capture our maximum levy. When it's all settled out next year and the true figures are really seen, that rate will be lower than what I'm projecting here. One thing I have to do is reduce the assessed value by 10%. And these are all guidelines from the state in order to make sure we capture our full levy. So that 0.59 rate is with a 10% reduction to the existing assessed value. So when we get to use the full assessed value, that rate will go down.
Gotcha.
It's kind of a confusing thing. Okay, let's move to the next slide. I wanted to show you this one because that was a budget projection on that 16-line statement. And so this is 10 years worth of budget projections. And the second column is the actual ending balance after that 18-month period. So it was a little under in 2013 and quite a bit under in 2014. But on 2015, we started an upward trend. And since then, we have gained every year. So our operating balance over those 10 years on the projections went up 726,000. And in actual, they went up 782,000. And this is all really good. We're really glad that we're gaining. And then I want to, on the next slide, give you a little idea of why some of this has happened. Over the last 3 years, we've gotten special income tax distributions. This is not something we can count on every year, but for 3 years, that's a total of about 185,000 that we have gained in revenue that we had no way of knowing that that was coming. The other big step was in 2017 when we got the local income tax public safety, and we were able to pay one officer, one police officer, one firefighter out of that public safety money. So those LIT expenses in 2017, the 138,000 and goes up all the way to 240,000, those would have all come out of the general fund had we not had the public safety. So those also helped us to gain operating balance in the general fund. Any questions on this slide? Okay, we'll move on. This is just a rule that the Department of Local Government recommends that we always have at least a 20% cash balance. And in 2021, the cash balance is projected to be at 30%. And then it's always good to know that we have that nice little cushion in the rainy day fund if for some unforeseen emergency, we would need more money. Okay, the budgets, this is the total increases of all the budgets in the general fund. And this is mostly the wages and benefits. They total 230,000 in increases. And the next slide shows the increases in all of the other departments. MVH is going up slightly. The restricted fund is down, and that is all due to a state formula. A few years ago, the state mandated that all of our motor vehicle highway receipts, 50% of those had to go into a special fund to be spent on nothing but road repair. And that's where we've gotten our matching monies for the community crossing grants that we've had. And then any other road repairs. Everything in there is just supposed to be for road repairs. Now, the park is increasing a little because there's been a lot of concern with providing better park systems for Ellettsville. That is one of the goals of our current town manager. So he's asked for a $10,000 increase there. My understanding is he would like to work at the Stewart property to make it a little more park-like, and then some trail work that he's been working on for a couple years. The local roads and streets is a standalone fund. It is totally funded with local roads and street revenue that comes to us from the state. That's funneled through different road taxes, and the revenue is down there too. So we cut that budget to accommodate our income. There's no change in the Cume Fire Fund, no change in Law Enforcement Fund. The CCD is up by 31,000, and most of that is to accommodate our new building inspection, building permits and building inspections department. They need a new pickup truck. So that budget is up to provide a pickup truck for planning. The stormwater increase is mainly for the wage increase, and the same with the public safety LIT. Okay. This separates out the benefits. If you remember, the total budget increase for the general fund was 230,000. So this shows you that 205 of it is all on the wage increases and the corresponding benefits. I would like to say that we base the wage increases on the wage study that we had done. And this increase would take their suggestions into consideration and also incorporate a annual longevity pay. So that's the total 205,000 to the general fund, 7750 to motor vehicle highway, and then the 10,000, a little over 10,000 there for public safety LIT. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time. Okay, now we want to compare the increase in revenue that we are going to receive in 2021 over what we have been receiving. So the growth factor, the growth quotient is $48,797, and the miscellaneous revenue, there was multiple decreases, but there was also increases. And so it came out that we were ahead $40,000. So that's a total increase of revenue for 2021 of $88,841. So how do you factor that in with the large increase that we're requesting? And one of the facets of budgeting is it's not a perfect science. We estimate it, the supervisors estimate it. We have to leave a little cushion in some places, or we would be doing additional appropriations all year long. So the 3-year average of unspent appropriations in the general fund is 141,000. So in 2019, that went down to 107,000. So we want to factor that in to the quotient for the budget. So this will reduce our cash balance a little, but with the gains we've had, it's a very modest reduction to the cash balance. The increases in revenue were the 88,000. The general fund increases in the budget were 230. Projected unspent appropriations would be 110. So that brings the reduction to the cash balance down to $31,196. To accomplish the wage study, I think that is a very modest figure. And I think that is about all I have. This general summary wanted to bring to your attention that the wage study called for some excluded and exempt positions. And that is a council decision. You can decide to approve the wage, do all of what the wage study says, or you can disapprove. But there's one section that talks about making some of our positions exempt and some of them excluded from overtime. So, and comp time. So that is a decision I need you to make along with the budget on how you want to handle those positions. And that concludes my presentation.
All right. Any questions from the council?
I do want to add that I'm not asking you to vote on the budget at all. This is just a presentation. We will not vote on the budget until the last meeting in September. We have a pre-adoption hearing at the first meeting in September, but these are the figures and I need to advertise the budget. So I just need to know if I can proceed with this information, get it all in the gateway, complete our advertisement, and come up with the final budget ordinance.
And when do you have to advertise, Sandy?
I need to do that by the first week of September. It has to be 10 days before the hearing date of September 14th.
Okay.
And that is done in the gateway. So I have to enter all of the information for the budgets, the revenue, everything into the gateway, and it formulates the salary ordinance. Not the salary ordinance, I'm sorry, the budget order or the budget ordinance.
So if you advertise this, we can still change after you advertise, correct?
You can, yes.
Well, I've got a couple questions if no one else does.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've got a comment just real quick on the budget. First off, Sandy and Mike, excellent job on that. Appreciate your hard work on it. I love this wage study. I think that we are going to be able to financially compensate some people that are very well deserving. My biggest hold off on the general summary here with the budget is the exemptions. I've had some good meetings with some department heads within the town, and my biggest concern still to this day is they need to be compensated, whether it be comp time or overtime, the payout. One example that quickly comes to the top of my head is Danny Stallcup. If he gets called out at 2 a.m. in the middle of the night for a snowstorm, he needs to be compensated for that. And I'll leave my comments at that for now.
Okay. Anyone else? Well, a couple things on the budget, and I don't know if we're going to get really deep into it. The longevity pay. The way I read that, if we go the $100 per year per employee up to 20 years, a couple of things I would like if we agree on $100 per year, I think we should put like a deadline or a time when that starts. Instead of paying every year, which is fine, I think that should start after 5 years. That just kind of gives the new employees to shoot something towards. And, we can build up their time too for the years they work. If we go, the $100 a year, at the end of their 5 years, they would get the $500 bonus. And thinking of that too, and I was just kind of running the numbers real quick with what the wage study says. This could be close to a 60 to 80,000 extra a year in wages for every employee that has 20 years. So they get a $2,000 raise, and then they'll get another $2,000 for the longevity. So that's something to consider. I mean, those longevities, I'm one of the persons that hates to give something and then have to take it away during bad times. Unfortunately, that does happen a lot, but I just hate doing that. So just realize, it could be a hefty, and it will be a hefty sum. I was doing a quick calculation of the employees and stuff. It's definitely going to be 50 to 60 grand a year for that longevity pay. And I do, if we do agree on that, I still think we should wait the 5 years to start that. And then what was the other? Oh, on the exemptions, I'm with Trevor on the exemptions. I think some of the supervisors, well, all the supervisors, if they're called out, I think they should be compensated somehow. Now, I really don't feel like to attend meetings and stuff. I think they should, work their schedule out so they don't run into overtime, obviously. And I know the I know the supervisors do that now. If there's a council meeting, they cut out early that day or come in late, which, they're watching their time. So I'm on the fence with that. And there was one other thing, but I wrote it down and I can't find it. Very unorganized here. It's hard to do all this with one hand. So I'll find it here in a few. Does anyone else want to add anything?
Well, I guess I've got a question, and while I try and get my screen back to where I can see everybody. The way we're anticipating this right now, we are not taking away from anybody's ability to earn overtime, correct?
That is the question I was posing to you. I do want you to know that we included that overtime in the budget that we presented.
Scott, are you still there?
Sorry, I'm having some technical issues, guys. Sandy, I'm sorry you broke up a little bit. So what was your question?
I just added that the budgets as presented does include overtime allowance for those positions that were deemed exempt in the study.
So basically it doesn't change. And again, I apologize because I'm breaking up here. I don't know if it's bandwidth or what. It doesn't change for any employee about their ability to gain overtime.
The budget does not.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was my question.
William, you have a question?
More of a comment. I'm not in favor of waiting the 5 years and having a bill. I don't understand what the difference would be of taking the hit at $100 a year or waiting till it all. I mean, actually, even a brand new employee, that $100, because they're usually, when you're first starting, that's when you need that extra cash the most, because you're not getting, your wages aren't there. And I've just known from places that do this, that actually helps with retention. And it costs a heck of a lot more to get a new employee and retrain them than the $100 a year that we'd be paying them through longevity.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, I would also like to add to something small on the budget. When I was going through, the planning commission members have talked to me several times about a couple of them have for additional monies. They haven't had a raise in several years. I think they get $40 a meeting. Sandy, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I think it's probably been what, 5 to 7 years since they've had a raise.
It was the last time you were on the council in the plan commission.
Yeah, so it's been at least 7 years. So I don't see any problem with giving them another $5, $10 a meeting. And they do still have to attend the meeting to get the money. That's just a suggestion.
Dan, can I just add real quick? If we're going to do that, which I don't have a problem with, I would like to point out that our BZA members get paid $0 per meeting, and we are having more meetings than we used to. So
Okay.
that's something to be considered.
Yeah, I did not actually realize that, Kevin. Can you kind of check around and see what BZA members do get paid for meetings?
I can see what other places are.
Okay, because I know the BZA used to only meet once a year, if that. And there's only 3 members on the BZA, right?
5.
5, okay. So yeah, if they're meeting more often, I mean, I really hate to ask anyone to do something for nothing. So I agree. We should look into that too. If you could, the next meeting, bring us, just kind of see what they're getting paid. Just kind of call around a few places.
Okay.
Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, I would like to add that if that is your desire, then I'll work with Kevin and I will modify those budgets accordingly, because I do need to get that tied in before I publish.
Okay. And will we be meeting before, let's see, before you publish that? We won't, will we?
No,
Okay, because our next meeting is not until the 14th of September. Wow.
yeah, and that'll be the pre-adoption hearing.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, work with Kevin. Does the rest of council feel okay with that too? Scott?
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I just have one other quick question because I'm not seeing it in this document. I know we had an issue, at least with one employee at the police department, bringing her into the midline. This addresses that, correct?
Yeah, yes, yes, this definitely addresses that situation. If you have your wage study, you can find that under the, what's the heading for COTs?
Okay.
What's the line item, Sandy? Do you know?
COMOT. It's the COMOT. And in the wage study, it shows all of the administrative assistants and what their wages should be brought up to.
Okay.
Okay, and then Sandy, I apologize. I've been having some technical issues trying to get this computer to work right. Are you confident that by us doing what we're going to do this year that we can maintain that next year and then the years on out? Or is there a reservation in you that says we may have to back off of this next year?
Well, I feel this is doable. Now, I think that next year, if our projections go lower than we think, which the state pretty well has laid them out for me. And, I think that our employees would understand if we're not able to do an annual raise in 2022. I mean, that's not what I'm thinking. I'm not projecting that, but I'm just saying that if something that's unexpected would come along, we're always going to get some growth factor on our property taxes, and the property taxes are a strong tax. So I feel confident that we can maintain this, and if we have a dip, we'll just have to hold off in 2022.
That was my actual question. Can we maintain this for the foreseeable future, even if there's not an additional next year?
I do think we can, yes.
Okay.
And Sandy, do you know the number? And you probably already said that. What is the number by going with the wage study on the increase? Do you know the total? No.
Well, the 205 was the wage increases with benefits. So do you want to know that number without the benefits? I think with the benefits is the truer picture. The only variance other than the wage study was the fact that the building inspector had an increase because, there's been some changes in the building department since we talked it over for this year's budget.
And was that a $10,000 increase, or was that for the truck?
The increase for the truck was in CCD, which is, a capital projects line.
So that was the $10,000 in the part-time enforcement line, right?
1 second, and I can tell you for sure.
It's so hard for me to fumble around here right now.
You are correct. It's $10,320 increase in the building inspector line.
And that increase is because of the extra employee, or I can't remember why we increased that so high.
Yes, it was, instead of 1 employee, now we have gone with 2 employees to accomplish the commercial inspections. We were worried about, having to do private contracting for commercial. And so the new person is capable of doing those. So kind of reduce the miscellaneous revenue and increase the personnel line.
Okay.
I can say a little more about that if you'd like.
Sure, Kevin.
What we really we had it budgeted for 29 hours a week this year. We upped it to 32 hours a week. But what I found is we are so far over projected building permits already this year that we're going to bring in twice the revenue I expected, which is a good thing. But with that, it's proving to be more work than we initially thought. So it'll come out. Well, actually, price will come out ahead, but that increase will be taken up by the extra permits we're doing.
Kevin, do you have you said double, do you have an estimate on what the permit fees are going to bring us now that we do have the enforcement officers? Just this year.
I don't know where we're at this year. I mean, we have a $20,000 permit thrown into this year's already. I do know I think we've already passed last year's total for new houses, and a single family home permit runs about $400 or $500 a piece. I figure probably another 10,000-20,000 in those by the end of the year at the rate we're headed.
So we're talking 40 or 50,000 income being brought in with these enforcement lines, correct?
Easily.
Great. Well, I think that's awesome. I mean, I think that's just a wash thing, you know. It does benefit us and brings in the extra revenue. The only thing, Scott, and what you said is really got me thinking too. You know, $205,000, if we increase all this on this year's budget and every year's budget, like I said before, we can't take that 205,000 away. So we're going to take a new hit every year for $205,564 roughly. So I mean, I think it's great that we can do it now, but I'm also concerned, what about 4 or 5 years from now? So something to think about for sure.
My thoughts on that, if this growth that we're having now is happening during COVID, it's not so much a gamble on the future. We're on an upward path. If we don't hit those revenues to do that, it's because as the town council, we have not done our jobs to bring in new growth. And so far we've been doing that. We've got Keehee. We need to build on that success. And I really think we're there to be able to make sure this momentum keeps up. Because eventually, and our assessed value is not going down. That's the one thing that, if anything, COVID's only going to dent the increase in the rate of increase of assessed value. It still seems to be going up quite high, and the home market in Ellettsville is still red hot.
I agree, William. I mean, I think that cute little kid there. I agree with you. I think, just like I said, I love seeing our planning department build. When I first came on the board several years ago, and we really did not have a planning department. I was excited when we really started with one. And so I'm really excited that it's growing like this. I've been really into the planning, and I think Kevin and Denise, you guys are doing a wonderful job. And also Mike Farmer, he's doing an excellent job on this too. So definitely love seeing the growth. So any other council comments on the budget?
Yeah, I guess, and just so I can work it through in my own head. The people who I trust tell me this will work. But I will tell you, this will be the first year on all of the years I've been on the council, which is more than a couple now, that I'm going to go vote for yes for a budget. And I have questions in my mind as to, can we maintain it? The people I trust say that we can. Okay, let's move forward with it. That being said, I think William hit on the exact thing that I guess I've got to kind of scold the council on. We have talked about annexations, and we have done nothing. It has to happen, folks. We've got to grow the town, because as much as they're building right now, we're going to be built out to 100% pretty quick here. So if we're going to keep growing, we're going to have to add land. And there's a lot of folks who have asked and have come to the town to annex into the town. There's a lot of people who are now completely surrounded by the town who are receiving services that have never been annexed. And that's just simply not fair across the board. So we're going to have to take actions that may necessarily not be popular even in our own minds. But that being said, the town has never been run before as a business. At best, it's been run as a cooperative. We've got to start growing or we're going to start dying. And this budget gives me concern, but the experts say it works. So I'm willing to go down that road because I'm also told that no one potentially gets hurt with this. So if we can improve the vast majority and not hurt anybody else, then I'll be in support of it.
Thanks, Scott. And, you know, I agree with you. That's why I kind of made the comment on the planning department. And I think it was our job to bring the planner in. And I think my last year on board, we did bring Kevin in. So I agree. Council's got to get off their butts and get some annexations done and attract some of these people. So, and building the planning department is the way to do this. So I agree with you 100%. Any other further discussion, comments, questions from the council? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this? Okay, seeing none public comment. Let me try to find my agenda sheet. I've lost it again, all these papers. Okay, we will move on to privilege of the floor. Is there anyone in the audience would like to bring up any non-agenda items tonight? Ross, I see your hand raised. Go ahead.
Thank you, Dan. Great meeting. I really like your budgeting process. You're on solid ground. We cannot predict the future with certainty, but I think you've done a wonderful job of dealing with today's realities. One comment on the tree cutting. Personally, I would like to see some sort of plan or master plan or overview of what you're going to do with all 50 acres eventually. Because once you start cutting out trees, it takes a long time to put them back. I understand the reason to harvest and get that stuff out of there before you pave ground. The last thing I'd like to mention tonight is I really appreciate being able to participate in these meetings from the comfort of my home. I'm hopeful that we will be out of this medical situation and we can start having live meetings in the meeting room. There's a whole new dynamic there. But when that happens, I hope the council will take the relatively inexpensive step of enabling people to attend and participate in meetings remotely. I brought this up several years ago, and Darla, I believe, had some comment as to the legality of it. I think the legality of it is now a moot point. I'll have Darla comment on that if she would, but I would hope we would maintain remote viewing and participation as we move forward. Thank you for all you do. Good evening.
Thank you, Russell. Is there any other comments? Seeing none, I will open it up to supervisors. Mike Corman?
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Mike Farmer?
Yes, a couple things. First of all, I'd like to thank Sandy and Amber and all the department heads for working on the budget. Can't do it without them. They are integral to making this happen. We spent hours and hours and hours on this, and we went back and forth, and so we put a lot of hard work and thought into this. So appreciate especially Sandy and Amber. They do their job. It's just fabulous what they do for us. So anyway, the other two people I'd like to thank tonight is Pat Wazalowski, aka the Sausage Man, and Walter Reska. for putting up our vegetable stand by the Jiffy Treat this year. It's one of the 2 signs that I see when summer starts, and I really appreciate what it brings to our town. It kind of gives it that hometown feel. Plus, it's a really good service. So thank those guys. Other than that, I'm good. I did hear what Russ said about the trees. There will be a plan, and I am as much a proponent of doing it properly as anybody. So thanks, Russ, for that comment.
Thank you, Mike. And I agree, those guys at the stand, I think me and you have actually met there several times this summer. The tomatoes are awesome there. So definitely good going on that. That's awesome. Danny Stockton.
I'm good. I don't have any. Thank you.
Okay. Jimmy Durnall.
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Kevin.
I don't have anything else.
All right. Sandy, do you have anything?
No.
Okay. I didn't miss anyone, did I? Nope. Okay. We will bring this back to the council for any comments.
I've got something, Dan. Kind of goes on my mind tonight with being budgets and something that's been weighing on me here for a second. For those of you that have been paying attention to both local and national media, the call to defund the police should not be new news to you. In my opinion, elected officials that support removing funds or manpower from law enforcement agencies are acting in a reckless manner. I can assure you, the citizens of Ellettsville, that us as a town council will never vote to defund our police department. We value these men and women's dedication and professionalism shown on a daily basis. We thank them for their service to this community. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very well, Trevor. Jimmy, did you say something? I'm sorry.
I just want to thank Trevor for his comments. Yeah, we're taking a beating, no doubt, actually, and it reflects sometimes on our jobs here in Ellettsville. But for the most part, we've been very fortunate to do our job and still not have any problems. So I sure appreciate your comments. I appreciate your support. And like Russ said, a great meeting. I enjoyed the whole thing. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy. Anyone else? Scott?
No.
Pam? Did we lose Pam?
I think so.
No. William? Okay, I guess everyone's good. Okay, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All set. Our roll call, Sandy? Sorry, we have to do a roll call for everything on Zoom. Did we lose Sandy? There we go.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager.
Yes.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned at 8:30.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.